So the question everyone has been asking is this: can a person who is about to pass have a conversation with someone who's already gone? Let's see what you said. Like my spooky friends, I hope you've been okay, doing good through the snow, the storms. Oh my gosh, it's been crazy, right? So I have been looking. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know. It's Scully. I didn't introduce him. Scully. Zach, look, this guy has so many names. You have given him so many great names, but I kind of think Scully it fits. So anyway, hush. Okay. They want to hear the stories, not you. So we are going to bring you some things that we found in a group talking about their own experiences. So let's go. I have read many reports given from nurses, doctors, or near-death experience that support that theory. I have also seen my sister upon passing. Oh my gosh, sorry. My cat, she wants to be fed. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. She passed at 16 with long-term MS. She couldn't move from the neck down, but just before she crossed over, she sat up with her hand outstretched, as if someone took her by the hand to take her to her destination. She had the biggest smile on her face. That always stuck with me and helped me to deal with the sadness that ensued. Wow, the fact that she couldn't move, and then all of a sudden, she stretched out her hand. Yeah, that's crazy. Wow. When my dad was dying, he was talking to his brother who had passed away 10 years before. Then the night before, I heard him tell his mom, "I'm not ready yet." He passed the next morning after we all got there. Wow. So I guess that's what he was not ready for. He was waiting. And I want to tell you, I've seen that a lot of times, like where people will just wait, and you don't even know how they are managing to stay alive until all their family, or a certain family member or friend gets there, and then they go peacefully. So I believe that. I really do. I've seen it with dying patients. I also knew someone who had died after a major car accident and came back. He described the interactions he had with dead family members during the period he was dead, including his grandpa yelling at him to stop being such a wuss and come with them. Wow. Wow. So, you came back and remembered a conversation with your grandfather. That is so cool. I don't know how I feel about my, ancestors calling me a wuss, but hey. He wasn't ready. Geez, some ghosts are just a little pushy. I'm not naming names. My mother told me my grandmother, Uncle Louis, Uncle Raymond, and Aunt Josie were in the room looking at her. She died a month later. My dad was calling my aunt his older sister and chatting with my late mother. He died 2 weeks later. My Aunt Angie, before she passed, I felt her hospital room get ice cold, and she cried tears in her eyes and said, "Cora, you're here. Gee, I got so much to tell you." Wow. An hour later, my Aunt Angie passed away. So your loved ones do come for you when you're about to pass. The day Pop passed away, his room was packed with people from about 2 hours prior, but only my husband and I were physically there. We both felt it and knew he had not long to go because of it. When he passed, the lineup out the door came in and went with him. It was an amazing sensation. So, whoa. What you're telling me is like you felt that the room wasn't packed, but you felt like it was packed. And like people that you couldn't see. You know how you get that feeling of just so many people in a place? So then when he was passing, they came in and then they left. Oh, wow. What do y'all think about that? Have you ever had an experience like that where you felt like there were people there that you couldn't see? I would be interested to know. When my father was dying, my sisters were all in the room with him. When the lights started flickering on and off, my lights just flickered. Okay. My father started to say his mum was there. Her name had been Rose, and he was saying she was there with him. My brother had passed 2 years before. His watch had stopped a year before my father passed, and my brother's watch had been put on a shelf. When my father passed, the alarm went off on that watch and then never worked again. When my mum passed a year after, before she passed, she kept seeing my brother walking around like he used to, around the house. He even sat on her bed once, and she tried to touch his arm. Her hand went straight through it. She said he looked younger and happy. When she was taken to the hospital, she started seeing my father and a cat she used to have. It sat on her hospital bed. She passed a year after my father. She's always in my dreams. They all are, but look younger and healthier. I hope so, first of all. And what do you think about the cat? We've done a couple of things on animals, but I've never heard of one going in the hospital and sitting on your bed. That's interesting. Like, do they always stay around us? Like, is there a certain period of time? I've had kind of experiences with pets who have passed, so I don't know. Yes, I've seen it happen. I'm an aged care nurse, and I used to take care of an elderly man with dementia who was in the British Navy during the war. One night, he stopped what he was doing and said, while staring into the bathroom, "Oh, hello, boys. What are you doing here?" Then he told me to go over and say hello to them. I was petrified, I can imagine, and could definitely feel a presence coming from there, and stayed right where I was in the bedroom. Yeah, I don't think I want to meet your friends tonight. Thank you. Thank all y'all. Hey. I don't know, or maybe you should just humor him, even if you can't see him, and say, "Hey, boys. Nice to meet you. I'll talk to you later." I don't know. This freaked me out. I was sound asleep when I felt a push on the small of my back. I rolled over and no one is there. Yeah, I'm with you, sweetheart. I flipped back into my sleeping position and looked towards my bathroom door. There is a black figure standing there, and then a woman with 3 small children stepped forward. I immediately grabbed for my phone to turn on the light. She stepped back, and they all disappeared by the time I turned on my phone. The shadowy figure frightened me, but I didn't fear the woman, so I was able to go back to sleep. Not sure of what to make of this occurrence. Any thoughts? Okay, well, this wasn't someone talking to someone. This was like you? I don't know how this got in this thread, but it was an interesting story. So, yeah, I don't know. Have you ever felt something touch you when you're asleep? I have, but I haven't seen anything. If I turn over, if I feel something and look to see what it is, I never see anything like that. So I wonder if she did. I wonder if she did any kind of research on her house or where she lived to see who this might have been. Because, yeah, look, y'all people that want to harass us when we're sleeping, you need to just stop, because we got stuff. We got stuff to do. We got jobs. We got to be places, do things. Like, don't be waking us up at night with your shenanigans. I'm just saying. We got to rest on this side. Once, I was at my aunt's house when I was young. My aunt's house was about 5 to 8 minutes away from my home. My mom and aunt were in the kitchen. I was standing on the porch right in front of the kitchen window. I was waiting on my mom to go home. I heard a horse run down the road, but there was no horse. I sat in silence for a minute to try to figure out what the heck I just heard, but I didn't see. I yelled in the window and asked if they heard that. They said no and asked what I heard. I didn't say anything because I wasn't sure if I was crazy. Days later, I was on the bus and I heard a girl who lives up the road from my aunt say she heard a horse running that wasn't there. You could see her house from the road in front of my aunt's house. I told my dad, and he told me there used to be stables in the area long ago. Natives also used to live in the area. We used to find arrowheads in the garden constantly. There are lots of stories just like mine in that area. Also, there is a graveyard right behind the house. This happened in Kirby, Pennsylvania. Okay, so what do y'all think? Is a ghost horse? I went to visit a antebellum house a few years ago down in Mississippi, and that was, strangely enough, one of the things that they reported is hearing horses, because this house was way back off the road, and it was very quiet at night. As a matter of fact, it's very rural. And they said that they not only heard horses coming down the road, but sometimes they would see a rider on a horse. So, I don't know. I guess some horses just want to keep on going. I don't know what that is. But I think this is very interesting because it wasn't just her, it was the girl up the street. So, they hadn't compared notes. Very interesting. My daughter's father passed away in a car accident when she was 2. She didn't have any memory of him. 3 years later, I got remarried. That day, I felt cursed. Nothing was going right. Here's the big ones. The violin player never showed up. I got married outside, so there was no piano alternative. Then when we got to the venue, my mom-in-law comes running out yelling, "Your cake is falling." They were holding it together so we could take a pic of us carving it. The DJ's turntable was broken. The list goes on and on. My daughter, who was 5, came into the bathroom that night. I was crying and she asked why. I said, "My wedding was a mess." She then told me that Corey, her dead dad, didn't want me to get married. I didn't know she was seeing him. I have never told of this encounter with anyone till now. Okay, I can see, first you just think like it's a bad series of events, like the worst, anything that can go wrong on your wedding. Like, have you ever, oh my gosh, yeah. Have you ever seen these videos? Because like all kind of crazy stuff happens. But when she came in and said that the dad, that had passed away, didn't want her to get remarried, it's like, okay, Corey, are you the culprit here? Because let me just say this. I don't think that's fair. If you are passed on to the other side, I think you don't, have the right to say who, your spouse should get married to. Unless it was a bad situation. Unless he was trying to warn you, like, this is not a good guy. But I don't know, because we don't have the rest of this story. So, was there a specific reason? Did you find out he wasn't what you thought he was? Or did he just feel like, no one can take my place? Because that's just crossing the line, buddy. My opinion. But, But let's go on. I was 5 or 6 years old and spending the night at my grandparents' house. As I was getting out of bed, I go to the bathroom one night. A World War I soldier in full combat uniform walked right through the closed bedroom door at a quick pace. Came over to me, stood directly in front of me, took his rifle off his shoulder, and with both hands presented the rifle to me. Girl, I pulled the covers over my head. I never forgot him, though. I wish I could have continued to watch him, though. He was surrendering. I thought of that in later years. I can only hope he finally found his way. Yeah, I mean, is that what that meant when he was handing it to you? I guess it was surrendering. I don't know. Is that the way y'all take that? Because I'm honestly not sure what he meant by that. But if you're military, let me know what you think. Cause yeah, my old house was haunted, which became more apparent after I finished renovating it. Look, isn't that always the way in all these stories? It's like the house is sitting there, it's probably haunted, but you don't know until you start renovating because, of course, you're going to renovate. It's been sitting there. But these ghosts, they seem to have a big problem with that. I'm just saying. One day, my partner and myself stood in the kitchen having coffee when this man walked through the wall straight in between us and straight out of the other wall. We both just stood there with mouths open and both said at the same time, "Did you see that?" So there you are, just having your morning coffee. "Good morning, dear." And then a guy walks through your wall and through the house. Like, yeah. Uh, Excuse me, sir. You want a cup? I don't know. I think I would just have to make another pot extra strong. All right. Got to get through this somehow. I don't know. The house took quite a sinister turn after that. A guitar that was in the corner of the room went flying and ended up on the other side of the room. It was only me and the dog in there, and we were both in the kitchen, but heard the commotion. In the end, we had to get a ghost team in to pass them over. Apparently, there was an old couple in there and a young boy. Oh, wow. So you had to actually call for like an exorcism of this house. Well, I mean, I don't know why they're hanging around and what was the deal with the guitar? When it went flying, like, were they saying, I don't know, what was the message in that? I'm not sure. Just trying to disturb you, what do y'all think? Because I'm not sure. Like, you're just going to walk through the wall, act like you own the place. Hey, buddy, we've got the mortgage. If we're paying the mortgage, it is our house. Period. That's just my thoughts, okay? You know? If you ain't paying my bills, you ain't got no say in what I'm doing. I was 15 and on a camping trip. I looked out the window late at night and I saw a man in a floppy hat and long coat just standing there. Then he was gone. Scared the crap out of me. Years later, I read that park was haunted by an old trapper. It made sense after I learned that. Yeah, so I guess he was just still hanging out, trapping, doing his thing. All right, we have one more. Not me, but a friend of mine many years ago moved into a semi on an estate. She hadn't been there long. She came downstairs and went to the kitchen and saw a lady standing there with her arms folded, leaning on the counter looking at her, and then vanished. But she was solid. She ran out of the house, guess so, saw a neighbor and described what she saw, and it was the previous owner, now deceased. Okay, I'm going to say this. My daughter had an encounter with the previous owner of this house, and I mean, I kind of get it. You put a lot of love and time and whatever. You're attached to your house. But, madam, when you are passed away, you really should try to take it down a few notches, okay? Because, look, other people are going to live in your house, and I don't know. I may be the one that's haunting my house because I am very attached to this house. I just feel like if you're going to be apart, you shouldn't be, leaning on the counter with your arms are all folded and like, mean mugging somebody. Like, the heck are you doing here? Okay, that's not cool. Just keep it to yourself, just stay in another part of the house or something. Like, don't be harassing the living. Right, Scully? Yeah. I don't care what you said. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed these tales, and I will be back next time to bring you some more true, scary ghost stories. I think we're going to do nurses again next time. In the meantime, my strange, wonderfully weird friends, Remember to maybe sleep with one eye open, but still stay spooky. Bye bye.